Welcome to the product demo of MEDis, the simplest way to manage your medical practice. MEDis, that is Medical Information System, is a web-based practice management solution assisting small and large-scale hospitals and nursing homes to carry out their day-to-day functions smoothly and efficiently. In this presentation, we will demonstrate the power of this solution for simple management of your hospital. We will now go through a brief working of the product to see how easy and yet very effectively you can manage your hospital. I will take you through a standard workflow starting from patient taking an appointment at your hospital and all the way until the discharge of the patient. I am now going to log into the system. As you can see here, there is something called as a dashboard which shows the day's alerts and appointments, and this will give a complete overview of the activity that is going to be in the hospital for that specific day. Let us assume there is a patient called David Smith who would be coming to the hospital at 6:30 p.m. He has called to take an appointment with Dr. Praveen. So I go to the appointment screen. I click on the details here, and at 6:30 I fix an appointment for Mr. David Smith. The patient has complained for a pain in the lower abdomen. Wants to consult Dr. Praveen. So this way I have created an appointment for the patient. And if you go back to the dashboard, you will see that appointment here. Now the patient would be walking in at 6:30, and at that point in time we need to register the patient in the system. So we would then do a registration of the patient this way in the screen. The 35-year-old male. All the other details are not mandatory, but depending on whatever hospital's requirement in terms of data that needs to be taken in, that will be taken. So the patient wants to meet Dr. Praveen. So by adding a consultation doctor here, you're automatically creating a consultation allocation for it, which also reflects in the billing. So after doing this registration, you directly go to the patient's case file, where you have all these details of the patient. This is the one-stop interface wherein you have the complete management of the patient in terms of the consultation notes, the medical history, investigations, procedures, any services, any treatment plans, the admission of the patient, the administration of the drugs, the billing, and the medical reports of the patient. The patient can also log in into the system, look at whatever information that the hospital would want to share with them in terms of their reports, and check all the details here. So let us assume that the patient has come in and he has seen Dr. Praveen. Dr. Praveen has examined the patient and advised investigations like CBP, the doctor has also advised admission of patient today for a procedure. So now the rest of the staff, whoever would be in charge in the hospital, would actually now go add the investigations for the patient. To see this, all these investigations are entered, whichever doctor has asked for the investigations. So all these investigations are entered here. It automatically gets allocated to the patient. Once the results are obtained, the diagnostic services center people or everybody else can make all these entries to actually report for this patient. I will show the details of another patient's reports to get a clear idea on how a report would look like. Now the doctor has also advised a procedure, so we will also demonstrate the allocation of a procedure. procedure has been allocated now to the patient. Even this reporting can be done similar to the investigations once the procedure is complete and the discharge summary needs to be created. So the discharge summary as well, I would show it for another patient once where the details have all been entered. I will just enter a service for the patient as well, like an injection. After, as you can see here, there is a registration fee and the consultation which has automatically been added, which has come from the registration screen. So I would allocate a service here, say injection. And after the services, the next part would be the admission for the patient. So let us assume the patient needs to be admitted today. So I will just select a ward and I will select a room type, let's say general, and I see here there are 3 beds that are available. So I will just take 1 bed and then I'll admit the patient in. So the patient has been admitted. Once the patient is admitted, the patient can be discharged on any day, and then the system will automatically calculate the number of days on which the patient has been in the hospital, including the nurse's fee, the doctor's fee, and everything that's associated with this, which is pre-configured. For simplicity's sake, in terms of showing the system, I will discharge the patient on the same day. Yeah, so the patient is also discharged. Any drugs that have been administered to the patient can also be seen here. So I will just allocate a drug to the patient. So the patient has been issued 2 tablets of augmentin. Now all these things, if I recap, there's been an investigation that have been allocated to the patient, a procedure was allocated, the patient was admitted, there were some services that were added, the patient has bought some drugs as well. All of this would go into the billing. So if you see, the billing will have details of each and every one of these services that were there. And these bills, you can make partial payments, you can give discounts on these bills, you can edit the bills as well, you can add additional information. All of this is very, very flexible. If you see the payment options, you will see what all payments that are there. You can edit the payments, and finally the bill would look something like this. So these are all the services. This is how the bills would look like with your company logo and company address. And for the investigations and the procedures which are allocated, the discharge summaries and the reports will be typically shown here. In this case, we haven't entered any result, that's why they're not being shown. So I will show it to you for another patient. So if you see this. So this is how overall a patient's case file is managed. Now I'll go back to the dashboard and come back to actually showing the patient whose details are all there in the system, and where we can see some reports which have been already entered. So it's like a simple Google search. You just search for the patient details here. You will see all these patients that are there. You can also view just the list of registered patients that are there. And now I'm trying to select a patient called Eleanor Smith. So I go to her details. In her details, I can go to I'll just show you the reports for this patient. If you see, there is a complete blood picture that was done for this patient. If you see this, the report will look like this. All of this is according to the NABL standards. So in terms of the report can be directly printed and given to the patient, or the patient can directly log in and print it out themselves. Now for the procedures, you can add images, you can have high quality reports which can be defined by the hospital itself, which is highly flexible and powerful in its own respect. If you see this, this is an example of a diagnostic hysteroscopy report which has been done under general anesthesia. In addition to all of this, we do have something called as an MIS module, which has a complete suite of reports to aid the management, govern the center effectively, and control costs and have an analytical information to improve their process. So you have a daily revenue report, you have pharmacy sales reports, you have the whole drug order reports, you have the dues reports, the consultation doctor share reports, and many other reports which are fairly self-explanatory. The other part of it is the administration module, which is the core engine for the hospital. Here the administrative staff can configure investigations, procedures, treatments, the different doctors, the wards, the rooms, the beds, everything, all the details, and how they would want it to be reported. Everything here which already exists in the system is as per the NABL standards for investigations, and procedures are all according to the international standards. You also have user access definitions here in terms of security management and what a staff in the hospital can see, what a staff in the hospital cannot see, and many other details. So this sort of concludes my presentation about the overview of the application. If you have any specific questions, please let me know. Thank you for your time.